Thanks, Michael. Save me. Okay, so yesterday we talked about different patterns in exponents. We talked about exponents that have negative exponents. We talked about exponents with a fraction. So today we're going to kind of put it all together. We're going to try to understand what that rational exponent is and how can I change it from rational to radical. So rational exponent is basically the exponent with, we talked about that yesterday, right? With a fraction. So an exponent that have a fraction. So what did we say about this yesterday? So a to the power of m over n. How can I write that in radical form? Do you guys know what a radical is?
The roots.
That's right. A radical is a root. So how can I change from rational to radical? So what do I have to do?
Square root and outside the square root there is an n.
What's outside the square? What's here?
Yeah, n
N.
and a to the power m.
That's right. Okay? We can write it in two different ways. We can write it like this, or we can write it like this. It's exactly the same thing. Okay? So the denominator goes in the radical, and the numerator goes on the outside as an exponent. Okay? And we talked about this is true because we said that this is the same thing as, let's say, 1 over n to the power of m, right? And this is the radical. And because we talked about 1 over n times m, so that's m over n. Okay, so remember, if the question is saying radical, that means it means a root, and if it's saying rational, it means fraction. So how can I write square root of 25 as a rational exponent?
1 over 25.
No. Remember that the base
1 and the square root half.
is base,
Is a
so
half.
the base stays the same.
Five.
What would be my exponent?
1 and a half.
1 and a half,
Yeah.
right? Because right here there is an invisible 2, right? That we don't see and we don't write. Okay? So that would be the base, right? The base to the power of your radical, which is in this case it's 1 over 2. How about this one?
25 to the power of 3. Negative 1
To the power of
Third. 1
One over
1/3.
1/3. Okay? Again, I'm gonna go back here. Whatever you see here is gonna go in the denominator. Okay? If you don't have anything to the power of, you're gonna imagine that this is to the power of 1. Right? We don't need to write that. Again, these are things that we don't need to write, but these are things that we need to know, we need to be able to see. Which one? The little one?
Yeah. Is there?
Call the
They
school.
call me.
Call the school and make sure that he's there. Just call the school. How would I write the other one? C.
1.05 to the power 3 over 4.
That's right. In bracket, 1.05 to the power of 3 over 4. This. This is here. And the denominator, the one in the root goes in the denominator.
So this A goes what?
Which one? This one? This?
Equals root A exponent N. So this one
This one?
A? Yeah. No.
This one?
The last one.
Yes.
Last one. It's root
Yes.
N. N. Oh.
A. Okay, so that's going from radical to rational, okay? So going from the root to the exponent. Now, how would I write 81? So this question is asking you to rewrite each expression in radical form and then evaluate. So, 81 to the power of half. How can I write that in radical form? Do I need to put the 2 at the front? Or can I just write it like this? I can't. Because remember, that's right. If there's nothing in the root, that means it's a 2. But I don't have to write it. Okay? So what's the square root of 81?
None.
And is it the same thing that you're going to get if you do 81 to the power of half? It should be, right? If you do 81 to the power of half, it should give you exactly the same answer as doing root of 81. Remind me to go back up because there's conditions that I need to write. Okay, how will I write the negative 64 in brackets to the power of 1/3 if I have to write it in radical form?
Cube
of minus 64.
Cube root of negative 64. Okay? And I would like you guys to find the answer for that because the question is asking you to evaluate. Should be negative. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? 32 to the power of 4 over 5. How will I write that in radical form?
It's 5 root of 32 everything 4.
Okay, I can write it either like this, or I can write it like this, right? They're both the same. You don't have to show me both ways. Either one is fine. Okay? Now, if I would like to, if I want you to put that in the calculator, what would you do?
Check. 32 to the power of 4. And then square root of 5.
Yeah, and then do the fifth.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So the answer is 6. Okay? Make sure all of you try this on the calculator because right now is the correct time to catch if you don't know how to do it. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you're stuck, if you are stuck in putting this in the calculator for some reason, you don't know how to put it in radical form in the calculator, you always have the 32 to the power of 4 over 5 backup, right? So this one is easier to put because all what you have to do for this one is 32 power, that's the power button in your calculator, and then bracket 4 over 5, or 4 over 5. It's important to put your exponent in brackets, otherwise it's going to do it to the power of 4 and it's going to divide the whole thing by 5. Okay? So this is your backup plan. If you can't enter this in the calculator, the other one is your backup plan.
You're using it, you should not be using it. You see this one? This one will give you any route that you would like to. So you put the 5, and then you put this, that will give you the fifth root of 32 to the power of, this is your term. This is just the square. Right? Yes. So 5, shift, and this, and so 32. This is your power. Okay, so you see how it comes up.
Okay? All right, I'm gonna go scroll back up because there's restrictions that I forgot to put down. So in order for this to be true, in order the formula, which is a to the power of m over n equals to the square root of n, the nth root of a to the power of m, to be true, we have these conditions. M, so the numerator is an integer. What does an integer mean? What's an integer? Anyone? Integer?
Yeah.
What's an integer?
Hold on here,
An integer is a whole number. Could be negative,
No, not your question.
positive, or zero. Okay? So negative or
Oh, it's too late now.
positive
I wasn't saying finish it.
whole
I mean, answer her.
numbers.
Because no one was answering.
Okay? That's
That was
an
my
integer. N is a natural number.
Oh, we're
There you go,
starting
that's a
here.
new word. There's, a natural number, they're integers, but only positive integers. Okay?
Also, x is 0, 5.
So integers are greater than or equal to 0. So this is the value of n.
It's negative or positive with number, right?
Sorry?
With number. Negative or positive with number. First number.
Whole number.
Whole number.
Whole. Like whole means no decimal. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, yeah. Now, A, which is your base, has to be greater than or equal to 0
Yeah.
if n is even.
Yeah.
Now, why is this true?
Cool.
Why does this have to be? Why is this one of the rules?
Just long. That's pretty long.
A has to be greater than or equal to 0 if n is even. So let's look at this for a second. So if I have negative 3 to the power of 1 over 2, what's your n value? N is 2. Good. Is 2 even or odd? 2 is even. What's your base? What's your A value? Negative 3. Okay, now I want you to enter this in the calculator and tell me what you get.
Positive.
Enter in your calculator, please. I don't want to click it. put it in bracket.
Mine said error when I did that.
Okay, so 1 error, 2 errors, 3 errors, 16 errors. Why I can't have a negative base if my denominator is even? Can you have a square root of -3? No. Because there's no number, when you square it, it gives you a negative. Well, I can't, it's an imaginary number, and there is a whole study about imaginary numbers. Okay? But not for the purpose of this course. So, if you look at this, what's happening here is basically, do you have any number? If you square it, it would give you -3? No, because any number squared is positive. So that's why anytime you have an even exponent, right, an even root, your base cannot be negative. With odds, it will be, okay? Because if I do a to the power of 3, I can get a -3, because negative times negative times negative is negative, right? But only with the case of even exponent, I can't have a negative base, okay? With even radical exponent. Are you guys okay with this? Okay? So if your n is even, then your base has to be positive. Okay, so we're done with your.
Means 2.
Sorry?
Even it means 2.
What do you mean by 2?
A is
Greater than or equal to 0. Right? So the base,
n is even.
if n is even, if n is even. So if n is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
This is okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait.
Even.
Even is.
We're looking for even.
Yes.
Any root under the negative is not counts because even if you exponent 3. So I mean root -3 exponent 3. It's not counts. It's called error in my calculator.
Root -3.
Yeah, root -3 exponent 3.
Yeah, you can't have a root. You can't have a root of -3. Right? You can't have a radical of -3. It's impossible.
Impossible. Any number negative is impossible.
If your root is even, if it's 2, if it's 4, if it's 6, if this is the case, then it's impossible.
But root usually comes 2, right?
Well, the regular radical like this, when it doesn't have a number, it's a 2. But if it has a number, it's a different root. Right? We talk about cubic root, quartic root, right? Different kinds of roots. Okay. Solve for the unknown variable x. What do you do? So x to the power of 4 equals 16. What's the value of x? Sorry? 2? Yes? Why? How did you get 2? That's the question. What did you do?
Root of 4 of x.
Okay. Opposite operation, guys. Opposite operation, right? Remember? Opposite operation of, let's say if you have x squared, the opposite operation is the square root, right? If I have x to the power of 4, the opposite operation is 4th root. Okay? To cancel an exponent, you do the root of it. Simple. Got. Done. Okay? So, to do this, I have to do the 4th root of both sides, right? So that makes it x equals 2. this more complicated for you? The answer for this is plus 4 minus 2. Right, Megan? The answer for this could be plus 2 or minus 2? Mm-hmm. You don't remember that? Yes. The fourth root?
Yeah.
It would be the second. 4? Second? And then.
Just a quick question. How'd you get 54?
270 divided by 5.
Okay.
125 divided by 5. That's simplified. So 270 divided by 5 is 54, and 125 divided by 5.
How would I find that one now?
Oh.
Yeah, that's simplified. That's why it says no simplified. That's what I did is simplified.
Oh, you
Because it's not lowest.
You see what I mean? So all that changed in this part, it's just like,
Alright.
and that's all I did, just simplified it.
How do you get it, Ela?
So I'm not dealing with
Huge numbers.
How do you get it?
Yeah.
I have a question. So,
Okay.
Elon is saying I have to do the cube root
No root.
of x squared,
Yeah.
right? And I have to do it to both sides.
You have to do square root and then cube.
You have to cube root and then square. Okay, why is that? Why? Okay, I'm just gonna erase this for a second, and I'm gonna write this in radical form. I should not be writing 2. I have this. Get rid of the cube for me. Sorry, get rid of the square root for me. What do you do? To get rid of the square root, what do you do? What's the opposite of square root?
Power 2.
Power of 2. Right? Opposite of square root is to the power of 2. Right? I have to do that to both sides, correct? If I do it to one side, I do it to the other. Square root is cancelled. Done. We gone. Okay? Now I'm only left with x cubed equals to, what's 27 squared, please? 1249?
27 square.
Yeah.
729.
729. Okay, now, how do I get rid of the cube? Cube root. So what did I do? The outside was a 2, but I removed it. So, I squared and I cube root. Right? I did 2 things. So what's the answer for this? What's the answer for this?
9.
I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to review this, look at it, understand it, ask questions, then I want you to do the next one.